So, did we really just witness the greatest or best opening weekend in NCAA tournament history? It's hard to quantify these things, but I decided to give it a go anyway. Recency bias is a powerful thing. So to thwart it, I went back and looked at the results of every first weekend dating back to 1985 when the field expanded to 64 teams. I used 85 as a cutoff because it affords a balance. Tournament brackets from then on have the same amount of opportunities for true upsets, which I define as a gap of 5 seed lines or more, i.e., the gap of 5. While looking through for the best candidates, I added up the Sweet 16 seeds' total number. The higher the number, the more unpredictable the first two rounds. I also looked at how many 13s, 14s and 15s won at least one game if not made it to the Sweet 16. Those runs don't come often. It helps a given year's case, for sure. Additionally, losing two number 1 seeds before the second weekend is rare. That was taken into account as well. So was how many small school teams from one-bid conferences pulled off upsets. One thing about this weekend, we had a lot of lower-seeded teams move on, but seeing Florida State, Syracuse and Kansas State get into the regional semifinals doesn't make us gush the way Florida Gulf Coast, George Mason or Ohio did in the past. There is one more element to consider. The most powerful influence on our memories are the images of buzzer beaters over the years. The reality is they happen, but percentage-wise versus games played, they're very rare. What I found interesting is that a lot of the first weekend buzzer beaters, or less, second shots, that spring to mind, Georgia Tech in 92, Maryland in 03, UCLA in 95, Florida in 00, Western Kentucky in 08, Valpo in 98, Northwestern State and Tennessee in 06, came in years that weren't overrun with first weekend calamity. Before we get to the 5 wildest years, here are my honorable mentions. 2001, underrated tournament. Its opening weekend was noisy. There were 9 gap of 5 upsets in the first and second rounds. That doesn't include Gonzaga making the Sweet 16 as a no. 12 beating no. 13 Indiana State on along the way. Number 15 Hampton's win over number 2 Iowa State is an enduring image from this tournament. 2004, Kentucky, the number 1 overall seed, was overwhelmed by spunky number 9 UAB. Number 1 Stanford was upended by number 8 Alabama. Since the field expanded, only thrice have fewer than 3 number 1 seeds made the regional semifinals. This is one of those 3 years. The other 2 made the main list. 2 number 2 seeds were bumped in the second round in 2004 as well. Number 7 Xavier knocked off Mississippi State, no. 10 Nevada beat Gonzaga. Pacific and Manhattan each won a game as no. 12 seeds that year too. 2006, remembered for George Mason's Final Four run, but strictly in terms of first weekend, it needs to be mentioned. Mason was a controversial at-large team, you may recall. It started off by beating Michigan State and UNC. Yet it wasn't even the lowest-seeded team in the Sweet 16 that season, no. 13 Bradley was. Number 14 Northwestern State won on its final possession over number 3 Iowa. There were 10 upsets with teams separated by 5 or more seed lines, gap of 5. 2011, 4 double-digit seeds made the Sweet 16, no. 10 Florida State, number 11 Marquette, number 11 VCU, number 12 Richmond. That has only happened a few times. Plus, number 13 Morehead State stunned number 4 Louisville. Total number for seed lines by the Sweet 16 to 80. Number 1 seeds went 8-4, their worst win percentage ever for a single tournament. 2013, the year of Dunk City. Florida Gulf Coast's run to the Sweet 16 as a no. 15 made history. Really, it has a case as the more memorable run versus UMBC, but it's up to the ages to decide that. Give it a decade and we'll circle back. Also, no's, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15 seeds all won in this tournament. Harvard, a number 14, took out no. 3 New Mexico in Salt Lake City, I was there. Number 1 Gonzaga was taken to the final minute by number 16 Southern. Number 13 LaSalle went from the first 4 to the Sweet 16. Wichita State, a number 9 seed, made the Sweet 16 and eventually the Final 4. Seed total, 81. Gap of 5 upsets, 10, 2014, just barely missed the cut. 5 teams seeded number 7 or lower were in the Sweet 16. There were 10 gap of 5 upsets combined in the round of 64 and round of 32. Mercer knocked off number 3 Duke, number 10 Stanford beat number 2 Kansas, number 8 Kentucky beat undefeated, no. 1 Wichita State in one of the best second-round games of all time. There were 3 12-over-5s. Stephen F. Austin beat VCU in the final second, North Dakota State upset Oklahoma, and number 12 Harvard took out number 5 Cincinnati. Anytime an Ivy League school wins, it seems to give the tournament a B12 shot. Also, number 11 Dayton moved on to the Sweet 16, and ultimately the Elite Eight. That tournament had 5 overtime games in the round of 64. That round alone set the tournament record